Joining us, I want to say a pleasant good evening to the General Secretary of the United National Congress, Mr. Peter Kanhai. Pleasant good evening, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mikee K, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Yeah, thank you. Today, it's quite clear here that according to the Prime Minister, the 2023 local government elections will not be held anytime before August. This given the timeline of events to be undertaken as outlined by Dr. Rowley while addressing the Parliament earlier today. The Prime Minister said while his government has no choice but to accept the May 18 Privy Council ruling, which deemed the one-year extension of the life on councillors and aldermen to be illegal, a new situation developed requiring the government to respond. And of course, he went into the writ, and as far as validating the corporations, all of that will have to take place, and so nothing is going to take place before August. Hearing that explanation, does it justify a further delay?
Well, I would think the Privy Council judgment really called on the government to set the date for the election immediately after the judgment. But we would have all heard what the Prime Minister had to say today. I know that the party and the leader and so on would look at what was said by the Prime Minister. I expect that the leader will put out a statement on the matter shortly, if not today, by tomorrow. But the thing is that the work of the political leader, Mr. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and that of the United National Congress, Mr. Ravi, Babu Bin Maraj, and Honorable Jayanti, Lakshmi Dayal, etc., that has been done on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to bring this matter to the point that it is at now, to show that the government was acting outside of its jurisdiction to postpone the elections for a year. That in itself is a major victory for the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago, and as the leader have said, indeed, for the 52 nations of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, but when you look at what Dr. Rowley is saying, it's a bit contradicting. He said, while his government has no choice but to accept the May 18 Privy Council ruling, which of course deemed the one-year extension of the life on councillors and aldermen to be illegal, a new situation developed requiring the government to respond. I mean, if you listen to basically one of the law lords made it quite clear that depriving someone of their constitutional rights is not having a healthy democracy. And taking all of that in consideration, one would have thought that, listen, we're not going to deprive the citizenry anymore. We're not going to suppress that. And a date would have been given by now.
Yes, that is what we all expected that the government should do. But then, of course, over the last 7 to 8 years, we have come to understand that this is a government that does not operate on a rational and, in many cases, on a constitutional or legitimate basis. In the first place, when they took the decision to extend the life of the councils beyond the 2nd of December 2022, it had more to do with the fact that they themselves did not think they were in a good position to go to the polls, and therefore they needed time to see how they can sanitize their situation and build back their support and that kind of thing. They are at this point in time showing that they are still not convinced that they are in a healthy position, and that is of their own making, that they are not in a healthy position, whether it be local elections coming or general elections coming. I think this nation is at the point where people are crying out for change.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, of course, is that the fact that however they look or the image may be, I mean, that's an injustice to us as citizens, where many people are saying, listen, we want to go to the polls. We want to partake in, of course, a healthy and robust democracy. But let me ask you, what does that do as far as the preparations for the UNC? I mean, basically what we're seeing here is a political psych out. perhaps, say, listen, if the UNC wants it, we are going to play along with this. We're going to have our political game, and we're going to try to draw it out as much as possible. So whatever momentum that is perceived, that is picking up by the party, is going to somewhat, die down, and the steam. What say you, if as far as such a strategy?
I am not of the view that this will dampen the momentum that the UNC has gained over time, and particularly in the last couple of months where the local election is concerned. In terms of preparation by the UNC, we would have opened nominations back in September of 2022 at the point in time that we had expected the local elections by December. And when the postponement came, that process was really put on hold, although nominations had closed, and we had by that time received hundreds of nominations for people putting themselves forward to represent the party at the local government level. After the Privy Council's decision, or just before the Privy Council's decision, as a matter of fact, 2 Mondays ago, the political leader and the party took a decision that we will commence our preparations. So we reopened nominations because between December and now, we had a number of persons coming forward asking how they can get to file nominations because they know what they want to put their hat in the ring to represent the United National Congress. So we took a decision and we reopened nominations for a period of 1 week, which would have closed on Monday at 4 p.m., Monday last at 4 p.m. And the party has already announced that we will go straight into the screening process of all these persons that have filed nominations. Screening is quite a task, and with the number of nominations that we have, we will be going some very long nights screening the persons who filed nominations and so on, and selecting candidates to represent the party at the local level in all 14 regional corporations and in all districts. Okay. So that momentum will continue. On Monday last year, we held a meeting which was really dubbed the launch of the UNC's local government campaign, when we held a meeting in the city of San Fernando, which, as you know, is one of the corporations that the party is going after very hard, because we believe, following the previous local government elections where we fell short by 2 seats and in many cases by a total of about 30 votes, we believe that we are in a very good position to take that city corporation away from the government.
No, I know you're on a lot of committees. I don't want to get into the logistics of that. I don't want that to be a conflicting issue. But let me ask you, stay within the perimeters here. I mean, based on your years of experience, how challenging is it when the time comes about, like now, where there's so much anxiety, where people are simply saying, I want to participate, I want to get in there? How challenging is it when you receive all this information, it has to be filtered out, and you have to say what is best for the party and the interests of the country to actually keep things in line? Because many people are either going to feel as though, listen, I'm bringing the best. I can do this. I can be the best counselor. I can serve in the best capacity. But however, things don't always seem to go their way, and that's up to the screening committee. But how challenging is it for you to get that one message out there where everyone will feel compatible to align, to say, listen, we understand, and let's move forward?
Well, you're right, Mikey, that everybody that files a nomination to be a candidate would believe that they are the best. The screening committee has the task of going through all of these nominations, interviewing all of these nominees, and then making a decision as to which nominee will be the best candidate to represent the party. But in that process, when we are doing that, we also have a conversation with every nominee that comes for screening to indicate to them that, so we have 5, 6, 7, 10 nominees for the same seat, and only one can be chosen. So in the process of screening, we make it clear to all of them that only one person can be selected. However, we would want all these persons, because all these persons who find nomination are supporters and members of the UNC.
Right.
We would want, once this election is made, we actually ask nominees if they are not the chosen one to come out and support not just the selected candidate, but the party and the country as we go into the elections. And in large part, many of them, while they may be disappointed, many of them understand that they are better off with the UNC in control, whether it's of the local government body or of the government itself.
Yeah.
So the screening committee makes that quite clear to them.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that. These are members, these are supporters, this is basically a family. I mean, here in this country, when someone gravitates to the party, it's because they believe that the message is compatible to what they want and how they want to be governed. In saying so, in the whole entire process, there are people who will have ideas, who may want to make their input, and it's somewhat contradicting at times when you hear politicians say the voice of the people is the voice of God, but sometimes that voice isn't added to the narrative. And how do you deal then with people to understand, listen, we've got it, give us that opportunity to prove to you that you've got it. We hear what you're saying, we understand what you're saying, we respect it. But where do you find that balance of understanding?
Right. So the process that has to be gone through, and it's the same with all political parties, especially where you have so many persons putting their hat in the ring to represent the party. As I indicated earlier, the screening committee has the task of doing that job and selecting these persons. And it is really sometimes quite a challenge to hold all these people together. Fortunately, we have a political leader who has shown, even when she was in government as Prime Minister, that she has the capacity to bring people together and hold people together. So yes, you will have people who are disappointed, and in the immediacy of the disappointment, some people may express their negativity and so on. But the party always finds a way of bringing these people back together, and to make sure that once we are out there as a united force, taking the fight on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to the government.
All right. Let me ask you, if the election is called August, September, October, will the UNC be ready?
The UNC would be ready if the election is called 5 weeks from tomorrow, because they have to give the EBC the 5-week preparation period. So we would not have been out there calling on the government to call the elections unless we are comfortable that all that has to be done can be done within the time frame. So as I say, we started this process in September last year, because we were expecting an election on December the 3rd or any time around there to come after the session of the last term of office, so that we are ready to do what needs to be done to hit the campaign trail and to have all our candidates selected and ready to represent the people in the various regional corporations, boroughs, cities, and in all the districts.
Let me ask you, how important will this election be? Because, I mean, many people are saying, if it's a local, it has to be fought as a general. Whatever may come about, it has to be fought, and it has to be fought hard. I mean, we're seeing where the UNC was in San Fernando West on Monday for their Monday night report. Now, of course, the PNM is heading to San Fernando tomorrow. On Thursday, So I guess the battle lines have been drawn. The battleground is there. So in saying all of that, how important is this election?
All elections are very important because it has to do with the representation of the people. And this local election, particularly where the state of this country, the state of the economy, the state of our very security, even in our own homes, crime and all of that. And also we are approaching the rainy season, and we all know what happens during the rainy season in this country. 2 weeks ago, there was a bit of some rain, and the whole of Sandy Grande, for example, almost washed away. And local government plays an important, critical role when it comes to disaster management and relief and that kind of thing. And we are of the opinion that our representatives are more committed to serving people when they are in distress than the PNMs. And therefore, it is important for us to make sure that we can rest as many of these local government seats and corporations as possible so we can deliver that type of representation and service to the people of this country. It is also very important because we are 2 years out or less out from the general election, and the momentum from the local government election will be carried on into the general election to come.
Yeah, so it's very, very important.
It is very important.
I know you have a lot to prepare for. Closing comments, if you had to send a message out to those folks who have already put in their papers, their nomination papers, those who are more than ready to be screened, and as far as the engine room, what would you say to them this evening?
Well, what I will say to them is the United National Congress has already indicated that we are about to start screening. So we will be announcing the dates that we will screen the various nominees in the various corporations. So I say to them, keep tuned in, look out for those dates, make sure that when your time comes to be screened, that you are there and ready to face the screening committee. And I wish everybody the best of luck.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kanhai. We'll be checking in with you periodically. All the best to you and your team, and good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and good night to you and your viewers.
Thank you so much.